나가자. 여긴 또 어디야? 어휴, 바빠라. 어휴. 야,
Good evening, Ben.
I'm afraid
You don't seem...
I always feel
I can try to help your body heal, sir.
the war destroyed me, Doctor.
A gun?
다 치료했지. 에휴. 두통.
Goody.
Have you any...
I can't believe that people and
I'd like...
몰라 비싸.
Joe, please, I don't have your money. Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind.
Good evening, Mr.
It's Father Whitaker, my son. So, are you still lost in your rational delusions?
Have you recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
That woman is as depraved as Jezebel, and she deserves the same fate.
Really? Why is that?
This woman runs no medical facility, but a temple to the false prophets of science and debauchery. And she has many accomplices, I heard.
I have found Samuel, your disciple. I am afraid I have bad news.
I already expected the worst. He should already have come back. He is dead, isn't he?
Yes, he is now. The epidemic took him.
Samuel steadily made donations to our cause. He would have rewarded you himself if you'd found me in that awful cemetery. Please accept this money.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead and feeding on the fear of the dying.
A laughing queen dressed in blood. Tell me more.
This epidemic is her feast, the announcement of her return. Against her, science is no more than a child's toy.
But who is she?
She is the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. She is Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints.
Tobias Whitaker, confess why you burnt those people alive.
I have done what no one was ready to do. I will smite the flesh of the unclean to protect the righteous.
You are just another heartless murderer, exploiting the epidemic to kill with impunity.
No! No. The only way to contain the spread is to strike at the source itself, the proliferating sick.
You're not the savior of London. You're just a glorified sadist.
I take no pleasure in this awful cleansing, Dr. Reed. I am only driven by the thousands of innocents I save each night.
What?
I sent him.
You sent a man to die.
(5,000) 이야 맛있겠어. 정신없어.
Would you
Good evening, Kristen.
change your...
Could this be the scarf you lost, Miss Popper?
It is much more than a scarf to me. It is the only thing that connects me to my family and my country. Thank you so much.
예? 힌트. 헐.
What do you know about Nurse Crane?
That woman is a saint. She's living proof that a strong will is sometimes...
Goodbye.
힌트가 날랐어. 아쉽다. 힌트가 날랐어. 이럴 수가.
Good evening, Doc. I'll never know.
Goodbye.
힌트가 날랐어.
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what I wanted. I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest, as you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She was murdered.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What words would you like to say to your poor sister?
I'm so sorry, Mary. I promise to find who is responsible for all this. I'll put an end to this horror.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
예.
I confessed to that vicar. Do I feel better? Only time will tell.
어휴. 대체 어딨어? 없음 말고 대화가 연락에 남아있지. 토 나온다. 어이씨 2300밖에 안돼. 어이씨 5000은 빨고 싶은데 말이야. 피를 빨고 싶어. 쪽쪽 빨고 싶어. 피가 다 적단 말이야.
When science fails you.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets. Not me.
나가자. 와, 또 부활했어. 해버려. 와꾸나 마시지. 죽어. 신부가 문제야. 신부 졸라 쎄. 신부 끝. 잘 걸어. 아이템 달란 말이야. 또 있었어? 냠냠냠냠.
Remorse and pain are precious when binding you to the earth. You. I remember you.
우와.
Fear be gone. I would harm no child of my making.
This is your doing. You made me this creature. What are you?
I am the land. You are our champion.
You selected me, chose me.
As shall my children yet to come.
What is it you seek?
This age is sickly. An ancient poison, an older rage, brewed in a cauldron newly forged.
This has something to do with the epidemic.
Seek truth, my champion. Defeat the serpent of knowing with iron spur.
I've had enough of others making decisions for me, pretending to know how I should feel or behave. So the vampire who made me is some sort of disembodied entity? Or was he just projecting this vision in my mind? Maybe Edgar can help me with this one.
Good evening. Do you need
Don't get me wrong, sir. I'm grateful for what you've done, but
I'm certain you have your reasons. But let me assure you, I'm not like other doctors you may have consulted with.
it is true. You risked your life to save me, after all. It would be impolite to refuse your counsel.
좋았어.
Goodbye, Mr.
치료 끝. 치료하는 것도 빡빡해. 헐, 시체가.
Jonathan, my sincere condolences for your loss.
Your kindness is much appreciated, my lady.
Is there anything you require?
Are we condemned to attend the funerals of all we love?
Dying is the final act of life, Jonathan. Present company excluded. Accepted.
I don't know what to expect. Am I cursed to an eternity of solitude?
With time, we Ekon tend to go into isolation. If we survive long enough, that is.
As a practitioner of the medical sciences, I'm prepared for the death of loved ones. But mourning in the shadows, deprived of sharing one's grief.
We are no longer a part of the circle of life and death. We are undead, my friend, and so we are outcasts.
I spied my mother at the funeral. Have you ever revealed yourself to a member of your family?
No, Jonathan. And I'd advise you even from thinking about it.
Are we then condemned to lie to those we love?
We are creatures of deception, my friend. But this is more for their sake than ours.
But what if I was close to someone and wished to tell them the truth?
Fear, loathing, disgust. And then they will plead to be turned. They will see it as salvation. Then there's the risk of gaining the attention of vampire hunters.
Goodbye, my lady. Until...
그래. 한 마리 썰렸지.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What can you tell me about the...
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye now.
헐.
Good evening.
Evening.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. living proof that there's hope for me.
하하.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
하하하.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much...
Goodbye.
굿바이. 입만 물렸었지.
So many deaths.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye.
굿바이.
Good evening, Miss Howard.
I need blood, Doctor. Warm.
하하하하.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
잘 있어라.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind,
I'd be delighted.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
How did the Guard of Prewen come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. We've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you, Edgar. Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
왜 퀘스트가 안 바뀌는 걸까? 재료가 없지. 업그리야. $600. 와, 비싸라. $25. 배리어. 혈액 쪽쪽 빨아먹는 거야. 세게 물기. 업글. 예? 헐. 안정되었지. 연락 빡셨어. 올라가란 말이야. 올라가. 아이. 아, 괜히 죽였어. 오, 피가 정말 맛있겠어. 치료되었지. 얘들은 뭐야? 약을 만들고 오